everyone, welcome back. Now we've had thousands of comments through our Forster and the Dude Facebook page and on YouTube about doing another update on the rebuild of my championship winning 2005 Caltex Ford Falcon. Well, you ask, and we'll do it. And we were here, well, when was it? Geez, it was late last year when we were here, and Ross had it down to a bare shell, and or Ross and Jimmy, getting it all prepared for that all-important rebuild back to totally original condition. So, the man himself, Ross Stone, is right behind me. So let's go in the workshop of the old Stone Brothers Racing and see where we're at with it all. Roscoe.
Russell.
Hey, mate. Hey, dude.
How you, mate?
How you going?
Good.
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting us back into the old haunt.
The old den.
I know. You're looking good. Bit more stuff around here, but I'll tell you what, she's taken a bit of a shape, because last time we were here, she was down to a bare roll cage. You were just about to send it away and got painted. So you've had that done.
Yeah.
Original paint, original grey on the roll cage.
Yep. That's a chassis colour that we used to use all our cars.
Every SBR car was that colour, isn't it?
Yep. And, you know, at the moment, we're going to run the engine soon. We've just finished all the wiring's all ready. We can put the dash back in, but we want to run the engine first. And,
so you've got all the loom in, and now tell me the reason. Now tell me the reason behind the paint colour, because everyone in that stage, I know Larry Perkins, when I raced him, he always was a white chassis.
Yeah.
Because his theory was it was cooler inside the car being white, but also if there was a leak or a crack, he could see it better on a white interior than he could with a dark. But you were totally the opposite.
Yeah, well, I guess Larry's really practical like that, and his cars most of them were predominantly white. Yeah. So I can understand that, but because we ran different liveries, you know, if you ran the livery of the car, it's all too hard, you know.
So it was only a look good thing.
Yeah, and you know, you just have good lighting and when you're working on them and see what you're doing. Yeah.
So the engine's in, wiring link's in, she's pretty close to being ready to fire it up. This engine here, Ross, this is one of the original engines that I ran.
Yeah, it would need to dig out the stuff, but the engine number is one that you race with.
Is that right?
Yep.
So she's all original, numbers matching, as they say in the resto world.
Yeah.
They've come a long way, and the good thing about it is I bumped into Jimmy.
Yeah.
On my way in here, and we got talking about engines, and he just all of a sudden you know what he's like an open book, and all this stuff coming out. I said, we've got to do a piece on engines. So we're going to come back again and do one specifically on engines of this era compared to current models. So that's going to be really, stay tuned for that. So we'll come back and grab Jimmy on that one, because he's a bit camera shy, but he likes talking about these things with pistons in it. But very cool. This has totally been rebuilt.
Yeah, this is fresh, ready to go. So it's taken ages to do, and I think Diane thinks I come up here just to eat me lunch, but
I won't get away from Diane. Sorry, Diane. He doesn't. He actually does work.
Yeah.
Interior-wise, so what have we got?
Well,
runs in?
The biggest thing is in the rear. We've got to do all the fuel cell stuff yet. But as I said, we're just going to do a temporary fuel cell, and next week or so we'll run the engine. Yep.
Dash unit, because I remember back in that era, I do remember as part of the regulations, you actually had to had to have some resemblance or use a section of the actual original dash, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So this was original Falcon back end of it.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And
with the air vents?
Yeah, and then we made all this stuff here. Dash fits in there. Used to have shift lights in there as well. Yep. But now they're on the steering wheel. But that was how it was when you ran it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's and that was the cool part about the era, is how close the cars, unlike now, how close the cars resembled a road going version.
Yeah.
And don't you think that was the appeal of it too, like inside and out?
Yeah, well, in those days, you know, they were based on a minimum production of 25,000 cars. So
Yep.
that's why there wasn't any oddball cars in there. You know.
Now, I want to get this. I want to get this up in the air because I know you were the leaders of the pack in a lot of innovation in things that went on the car. So, if you could put it up for us,
Yep,
let's get it off the ground, and I want to go underneath and show everyone some of the trick bits you used to in this day and age. Cool. All right, Roscoe. Let's start from the front and work our way back.
Yeah. Well, all the cars used to have a fabricated front cross member
Okay.
to suit the engine mounts.
Yeah.
Then all the exhausts, I think the guys on the team, well, everybody on the team was worried when Jimmy was around on the dyno because he found something in the exhaust. They were going on the car before we went away to a race meeting. So,
And that was a big part of it, the exhaust system side of it. And I know how you guys, I mean, and again, I really want to go through this sort of stuff because this is why you won so many championships and 3 championships in a row is because of, you know, you're always looking for that little bit. Because I remember you always saying, you know, it's not one big bit, it's a lot of, it's a lot of small bits.
Yeah, and you had to have everything sort of all come together on the day, you know.
Mm.
So the car's just here is a power steering cooler.
Yep.
So all the plumbing for that goes up in the chassis rail. Gearbox, we used to fabricate all the bell housing here between the engine and the gearbox so the exhaust could come down.
Now this was pretty tricky in its day because a lot of exhaust systems used to flow straight through the driver side and around the back because no one could figure out how to get the exhaust through here. But the problem with that is it used to burn the hell out of everyone's feet, drivers' feet, especially in the endurance races. But you made your own specific bell housing so you could get the exhaust up.
Yeah.
So you could flow there, get the heat away. But there's another reason. There was another reason you did this, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, just to get the corner weights from the car because you've got the driver sitting in there. You wanted to get the equivalent sort of weight as much as you could over to the left-hand side, you know.
Because the exhaust system's fairly heavy sort of item, so the more you can get this over onto the passenger side, balances up the weights.
And that's why the battery used to go underneath there too.
Back here, okay.
Yeah, yep. And because they were reasonably heavy in those days, it was the lowest part of the car almost. You know.
But this is, I mean, it's not an easy thing to do because you can say, oh, just move the exhaust across here, but to fabricate your own whole bell housing, like there's a lot of work in that because it's a critical part too.
Yeah.
And that was all done in-house?
Yep, everything's done in-house, yeah. And we used to make the drive shafts in-house and how we, you know, put them together and then welded them and checked them.
Yeah.
Whenever you used to balance, well, we'd check them for Bathurst, but when you went to Bathurst, you had all new stuff everywhere. We used to have a little gearbox pump.
Yep.
That just circulate to the cooler, which is here.
Yep.
And then the diff cooler goes here. There is a little ducting that goes here that we've got to put on yet.
But some of those diff, they used to be electric on a lot of other teams, didn't they?
Yeah, that's right.
And failed a lot of the times.
Oh yeah, they weren't that reliable, and plus, you know, just if you've got the less electric stuff you can run, the better.
The better, yeah. Run the mechanical, less chance
yeah.
of anything going wrong.
Yeah.
The first thing that strikes me, Ross, when I look at the chassis on this, on how much of the original car of this era was the road-going version, the floor pan chassis rails.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all original chassis rails here as well, unlike now.
Yeah.
There was so much of the original showroom floor car compared to now. But this was cool, wasn't it? I mean, it was still a stiff chassis though, wasn't it? With the roll cage.
Oh yeah, absolutely, really, really stiff. We, you put 2 braces, you know, when the car's on the ground, but up into the shock point.
Yep.
And then you'd had the front on a pivot, and you could twist it.
I'll do a twist here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and they're really, really stiff, you know.
Was that one of your advantages too of the era? Do you reckon you
early
had some
on,
of the
I think it probably
chassis?
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before others caught up.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah.
Then we come back to the diff. No transaxles in this era, mate. She's a good old banjo housing diff.
Yeah.
Now, again, this was something trick that I remember you manufactured that not too many have. The Watts linkage setup here. You made your own very narrow one, but also modified the banjo housing. You can see there, folks. You can see how it's been cut in the back of it, so you could move this forward. There was a couple of reasons because of that, wasn't there?
Yeah, that's right. The fuel tank in these cars went there.
Yep.
And that was the biggest safety thing that improved the safety on V8 racing, was when the new fuel cell goes above there.
Yep.
Just moved it from the back. But we managed to get the fuel cell really a long way forward.
Yep.
And then we put a big, impact resistant foam
on the back,
on the back, just to try and help it a bit. We've got a tail end.
So safety reasons, but also by moving this forward, you're getting all the weight forward too, including the fuel tank.
Yeah, well, 120 litres of fuel is heavy, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you can move it forward. If you've got it another 100 mil back or 4 inches further back,
yeah,
you know, it's just
the pendulum effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is all the stuff, and you pioneered all this sort of gear. I mean, when you look at how thick, I remember some of the Watts linkage plates, and they were massive on some of the cars, but they were out. This one's not. So again, a bit like the bell housing, and you can see you've run on the same theory.
Yeah.
The bell housing, you've modified the bell housing to run pipes through. Well, you've modified the housing of the diff so you can get the Watts link plating.
Yeah, for a while. This is the roll centre in the rear, effectively. So for a while we had a lever down by the driver's door that you could do the height of that.
Is that right?
Until they banned it, yeah. So it was quick.
So you adjust your roll centre?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
When you were testing before you. Yeah, when they were testing. So now you adjust it through the boot.
Yeah.
And
so like the NASCAR when they go through the thing.
Exactly the same.
Okay, right.
Yeah, so
that's quick
it.
adjustments and that sort of thing.
But it was even, as I said, on the lever on the right-hand side. So
yeah, and you resisted going because I remember 888 and later on Walkinshaw's, they had all those tricky lattice work diffs, which are like a jag rear end almost, that weren't floating, that weren't independent, with the exposed axle shafts, and I remember they cost a fortune. Used to break all the time. Maintenance was horrendous. You stuck with the banjo.
Yeah, we did. Well, there was one reason was there was a weight limit on that assembly.
Yeah.
And I think it was 110 or maybe 120 kilos. And so as long as you had a good stiff and a serviceable thing, you didn't need to be doing a lot of the stuff that was going on, you know.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. And it's simple, Ross. You look at all this and, well, it's technical, but it's simple, looks easy to repair.
Yeah.
You know, I know we're banging on about this.
So this is, so that's a oil tank.
Yep.
So you fill that up inside the boot.
Yep.
So as soon as the oil was done its job in the engine, it was scavenged back, put into the oil tank, and then fed back to the pump.
Long haul back there.
Yeah, it is. But it worked really good.
Yeah.
Yep.
And low, obviously there's a fair bit of weight just there, low down, everything. You can see how conscious you were on the passenger side as well, so you put everything over to balance the weight up.
And you can see a little thing around here when, before we would start in the morning, you'd slide a strip heater in there.
Yep, okay.
And we'd heat the oil.
Just like a kettle.
Yeah, exactly the same,
Now, there was one thing, it's not on here at the moment, but and I know you haven't got the system, but we'll tell the viewers about it. the roll bars. So this is the roll bars that are going back on, which is just your pretty standardised sort of blade bars.
Yeah, well, this is the front, so it had two adjustments, but basically, you know, it's like a knife when it's vertical. Vertical, yeah. It's working.
Yeah.
It's stiff, and then you turn it to full soft.
Yeah.
And you got compliance, and so you can adjust the thickness of those bars, but they're not as good. Say if you have a little bit of softness in the bar.
Yeah, yeah.
They can walk a bit. So what we developed was later in 2005, not when this car was built, but we developed a hydraulic system.
Yeah.
And basically what that done is you had a tapered thing, but it made the length of the bar go longer or shorter.
Okay.
So it just gave it more.
Yeah, because I remembered them, because I remember when we were testing them, a few ended up on the track rolling around because they popped off at the end. So it was like a sleeve, wasn't it? Like a sleeve. So it was like, and you just worked on leverage. So the longer it became, it made the bar softer, and then the shorter. But you were the first ones ever to do.
Yeah, I think so.
Some were flat out struggling to make these work.
Yeah.
And you were on to the next level of it. And I believe a lot of teams currently have a hydraulic style of roll bars as well. So they're only just getting onto it now.
Yeah, I think some of them have had it for a while now. But
you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, maybe. But it was necessity, you know, that we just weren't happy with this.
Yeah, yeah.
So we made all this, and you just press the button down, just one click. It had a little potentiometer, so you could read where it was adjusted, you know.
Yeah.
And if you were struggling, we could have a look at it.
So a little slave cylinder went on the end of these bars.
Yeah.
Either side.
It had the electric potentiometer, and then a slave cylinder. Yep. Just a rod off that came back.
So like on a braking system, 2 slave cylinders, and that went down into the...
Yeah, but it was a no-loss system, you know. You didn't push it forward, you could pull it back as strong.
It sucks you back in.
Yeah, yeah. So it was trouble-free. And we got a high-pressure bleeding system, a little machine, and we used to bleed it and bulletproof.
Because I remember, I'll tell you a story, in the early days when I was racing for Van Diemen in England, they had a roll bar system for a Formula Ford, but it wasn't hydraulic, but they went on the same theory. So this is going back into the early 90s. They had the same thing. They figured there was too much deflection in these type of blades. Yeah. So they had a bar, but you had to do it manually. You know, you actually put another bar on that was either longer or shorter to get the leverage, but they said round tubes, it was better.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was the same thing. So you're on the right track. I mean,
there's such a heavy car, and if you've got the blade there, you know, it just walked away all over the place. So doing that, it's just you know, refined it all a bit.
So it's getting there, Roscoe.
Yeah, we're getting there.
It's not far away, front end's on, so once you run the engine up, you're not going to be too far away from putting it together.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy's coming to give us a hand again next week, so there'll be action station when he arrives.
So the big question is, I remember when we first spoke about this, Ross, you said, when we get it together, we can take it out Ipswich and give it a run. Is the offer still on?
Yeah, just... You know, do you want to buy it?
I don't want to buy it, just Ross. I think you know what the value of it is worth. I definitely don't want to buy the Pertec one. I reckon you're going to do all right out of that one. But, mate, I'd love to have this sitting in the shed. Don't worry about that. So, you never know. You never know.
Well, it's been rebuilt to go to QR and run it. And then eventually we'll sell them, because what are we going to do with them?
Yeah.
Originally, Jimmy and I were going to do a few sprints in either car, but we've left it too long and we're getting too old.
Oh, mate, but it's great. It's great you've brought something that is a part of motorsport history, and you've brought it back to life. And that's what restoration projects are about, is that other people can enjoy this.
Yeah.
And you look up on your wall there, mate, and you look at all the success that's come out of this garage, come out of this equipment that you build. It's a cool story.
Yeah.
I know I keep saying it, dear Ross, but it is a cool story. I mean, the achievements is unbelievable. And like I said, and the best thing about it, I look at the technology that was on this car of that era.
Yeah.
And how that's why you used to win, you know. And it's...
I suppose, Russell, if we kept still in the game and went all the way around, about here we'd have electric ones.
Yeah, don't even say that, Russ. Don't even say it. Don't say the E word in motorsport, Christ's sake. I shouldn't say it, but I will. You must be shaking your head a little bit when you. I know you keep looking at the tabloids about this Gen 3 stuff. You must be shaking your head a bit, aren't you? I think everyone is. But
well, you can't stop progress.
Yeah.
But, you know, years ago we used to have a lot of meetings, and if there was going to be a rule change, you would always work out the redundancies of everything.
Yeah.
But the Gen 3, you know, obviously engines are going to be redundant. The cars will get sold and go into the Super 2, but I guess they have to do it to get the, you know, the 2 makes. And maybe you'll be a third one day, but to keep the business going, you know.
Yeah, yeah. It's, I wish we knew a bit more about it. But when you don't hear anything, it's never a good sign. But but I, like I said, I just look at the Terriers and I look at this and how competitive it was as far as a team perspective, and the good thing about it is I think all the team owners as well, that they used to fight against each other, but they used to work with each other as well for the good of the category.
You would go into some of those meetings and you took your team hat off, and done what was right for the V8 supercar business. You know?
Good to be back, Ross. I look forward to the next one, because the next one she's going to be getting damn close. So to be actually fired up, and that'll be good, because that'll be good to actually sit there, start it up, and listen to the big girl that was brought me that elusive championship.
Yep.
Thanks, buddy. Nice work. I love it.
Good to see you.